The next 20 years are going to be a unique time for ISKCON, and I believe very challenging in specific ways. One way is that society is going to be changing more in the next 10 or 20 years than it has in the last 50 plus years. And I think in India we can say it's going to change more than it's ever changed in the history of India, because India hasn't changed that much. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. There are going to be vast changes. And the way things are going today, the way we prosecute and preach Krishna consciousness, it may have to be adapted to some way. Of course, we have our principles and practices, so that isn't going to change. But how we adapt that to the world, how we communicate that to the world, it's going to have to be flexible. And I know a lot of devotees think, well, the way we've always done it is the way we should always do it. But no business thinks that way. Businesses do go up, very successful businesses do go out of business. In fact, in America, 96% of businesses, no matter how successful they were, at some point go bankrupt and go out of business. They become irrelevant, or they don't know how to be relevant. So the challenge that we have as both devotees and teachers, preachers, leaders is relevancy. And relevancy means to understand the minds of the people that you're teaching. And the minds of people change generation after generation, and they're going to change dramatically in the future. Now, I saw something, I've been studying something, which I think is very, very scary for human society, and that is the manufacturing of robots. And I saw a news clipping about I don't know what they call them, sex robots, sexobotics. And these are women or men that you design according to the kind of body you want, the kind of personality you want, the kind of face you want, and they become your partners, not only sexual partners, but they become your partners. And you can talk to them, and they can blink, and they can move their head, and they listen to you, and they feed back. And it showed an older man with one of these robots, and he had his arm around her. And I was thinking that, every man wants to be loved and appreciated by his wife. He doesn't want his wife criticizing him. He wants his wife to feel and understand what he's feeling and understanding. He doesn't want her to talk back. He wants her to speak sweetly. He wants her to tell him how beautiful and strong he is. And that's what these robots do. And I could see it very clearly. The newspaper reporter was saying, but aren't these going to replace human relationships? That was her gut intuition. He said, no, these are recreational relationships. But I don't believe that's true. I believe they're going to replace human relationships. Here's a robot that likes me, that does whatever I say, that understands me, that remembers what I said. And I can have sex with it. That is scary. That's where the world is going. Robots are going to drive your car. Robots are going to do your surgeries. I mean, who knows? They'll have robots judging your cases. I mean, where does it end? And I predict, are going to become more and more attracted to interacting with robots. Even in marriage today, it's often very, very difficult to interact. So people tend to pull away a lot. A lot of marriages end up with people living in separate lives in the same house, because relationships have become difficult and toxic, and they're going to be replaced by robots who will like us and love us and so forth. So that's where the world is going. So it poses challenges of what's it's going to do to people's consciousness, what it's going to do to their heart, how it's going to make them. They're going to become very weird and strange. I mean, if you think people are challenged now because of social media, this is the tip of the iceberg. And we, as preachers, have to be aware of where it's going, and we have to be ahead of the game so that when it lands up there, we're ready with our books, with our videos, with our knowledge, with our lectures, which will address the issues that people are facing, because I predict these issues are going to create all kinds of mental and emotional problems. And People are going to be looking to religion to make sense of all this. So that's a huge challenge we face. The second challenge we face is that in the next 20, 30 years, we're going to see the demise of the senior generation of disciples, not only Prabhupada's disciples, but other disciples. And you may take it for granted now that there's hundreds, thousands of Prabhupada disciples walking the planet. And I wouldn't take it for granted. It makes a huge difference. These were the people who understood Prabhupada, who saw what he did, who know his heart. And they're all going to be gone. And that's going to open up opportunities for questioning, for speculation. It will open up some good opportunities, maybe some things we restricted, we didn't talk about that should be talked about, but it's also going to open up dangers where we'll want to, I'll use the word deviate. In the name of doing something better, we may end up deviating, and there are less Prabhupada disciples there to pull on the brakes. So these are things to consider. We have to become more mature as devotees. We have to more deeply understand Prabhupada and his mission, as well as understand the people we're preaching to and adjust and adapt to them. This world is going to become very, very strange in the next 10 or 20 years. It's going to be a different world. And although I won't be here to see it all, I'm sure I will see enough of the craziness to confirm my suspicions about what it's going to become. And people are going to need spirituality and religion, I believe, more than ever. Because it's just going to be so weird, they'll be so alienated from who they are, from nature, from a normal life. It's already happening, and it's just going to increase manifold times.